to Olfactofiles. I'm Tara, and today I'm going to be sharing my fragrance wish list. And this was the video that most of you wanted to see first from me because recently I got the community tab, yay! And the first thing I tried was a poll, and I gave some options of different videos that, you know, I'm interested in filming, and I wanted just to see what you guys wanted, and it seemed like most of you want to know what I want. So that's what we're gonna do today. The way I've decided to break this down is I'm gonna go through my top 10 most wanted bottles based on things that I've sampled, so I know that I really enjoy these fragrances a lot. And then I'm also gonna tell you 5 that I might potentially blind buy just because it's difficult to find a sample, or maybe because to get those samples it would be very expensive because of shipping, because maybe they're coming from a different country. And so in that case it might just be more worth it to blind buy a bottle and hope for the best, and then if it doesn't work out, maybe resell it. P.S. If you notice, my background has changed a little bit because I switched out my shelving, so now all of my fragrances are here. I was a little bit nervous to do this before because of the lighting, and you don't really want your fragrances to be exposed to a lot of light, but this room is basically pitch black most of the time except for when I'm filming, which is, you know, a small percentage of the week. So hopefully it should be fine. I think it won't be a big deal. Also, this room stays very cool, so that's good as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that. I mostly did it for myself because I was tired of lugging fragrances back and forth between where I used to have them and here. So this just makes it easier. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the wish list. Now what I'm gonna do, since I don't own any of these, is I'm gonna put the pictures here, since there's some space beside me, of what the bottles look like so you can see that. And this list is in no particular order, so number 1 doesn't mean I want it the most and number 10 the least. It's just literally the 10 fragrances that right now would be the ones that if you said, hey Tara, you can pick out any 10 fragrances, these would be the ones I would pick out. Now, I'm not going to be buying all these right away because, as you will see, some of these are very pricey, but you know, hopefully over time I will slowly get these because I really do enjoy all 10 of these fragrances. First up, I want to mention 3 Xerjoff fragrances that I definitely want to get, or at least 2 that I definitely want to get, and then 1 that I probably want to get. The first one is Xerjoff Naxos, which is like this tonka, tobacco, honey, and lavender type of fragrance. I love that one. I talked about this one and the other 2 in my Xerjoff video that I'll link somewhere above my head here. I love this one, and I've had a sample of this. Actually, I've had 2 samples of this previously, and I really, really enjoy it. I think it's definitely unisex, so if you are a woman who likes those type of notes, then go for it. I think it's really nice. I probably will get this one a little bit sooner because out of the Xerjoffs that I want, it's a lower price point than some of the others, and I think it would be great for fall and winter with that, you know, tobacco and tonka. So that I definitely want to get. Another one from Xerjoff that I really want to get is 40 Knots. That one I feel like can go through fall, but maybe would be best in spring and summer, or maybe basically anything but winter, I think. But that one is like this woody aquatic with like the saltiness, and it's a really rich fragrance, which is why I think it would still work in the fall. Maybe it would work in the winter too. I'm not sure because I haven't been able to test it in the winter, but that one I love. It's not your typical aquatic. It doesn't lean too masculine, as you know, oftentimes aquatics seem to do. Yeah, I just loved 40 Knots when I sampled that, and I definitely want to get a bottle of that one too. The third Xerjoff that I really want to get is Ibitira, or however you say it. It's the like iris and lemony kind of vetiver-y one, mostly iris. The reason why this is the one that I think I want to get is just because there are also 2 other iris fragrances that they have that are really highly rated. Kristen at Beauty Meow talked about iris with like the 3 S's recently, and she really loves that one. And then also there's that Pico Vaya Dama, I think maybe is how you say it, but that one is an iris scent as well, and it uses the same particular iris note as Ibitira, I believe. So I kind of want to sample those first just to make sure that, you know, I get the one of those 3 that I like the most, because it's just too expensive to buy all 3 and probably a little bit redundant. But I do want to sample those 2 first and then make my decision as to which of their iris fragrances I want to purchase. But I loved Ibitira, so I would definitely be happy to have that. And I'm sure that, you know, I will get one of those 3. I'm just not positive which one until I can sample the other 2. The next one that's on my wish list won't be a surprise to you if you watched my review of Royalty Scents, because I talked about it in there and said that I'm definitely going to get a bottle, and I am. And this one is Tom Ford's Santal Blush. And this one is just a really sexy sandalwood fragrance with a little bit of spice and benzoin to warm it up. And oh man, I just love it. It's just this creamy, sexy deliciousness. And I will definitely get a bottle of that. I'm hoping that I can, you know, get a bit of a deal. I have had some luck in the past getting Tom Ford fragrances at the Estee Lauder outlet store that's near me, but the most recent time that I went, they didn't have Santal Blush. However, I will probably keep an eye out there for a bit, but if I can't find it, I'm just gonna, you know, try to find the best deal I can. Maybe there'll be a 20% off somewhere that I can pick it up, like at Sephora. But anyway, I'm definitely getting Santal Blush, no questions about it. I love that one. The next two are ones that my friend Eve from the channel Eve Spider Smells sent me, and she sent me these like really generous, beautiful decants of fragrances from her collection, and she also included a sample of Ducita Isara, I believe is how you say it, and I love this fragrance. It is very expensive. I think it's like $350 or around there, so it's very expensive, and especially because it's only a 50 milliliter bottle, but I love it. And she did mention that she was able to buy her bottle of the one she has on discount because they occasionally do promotions. So I'm just gonna wait for that. I'm hoping that maybe around the holidays they'll do that. So I do really want to get this, but I am gonna wait just because it's so expensive. But Isara is another tonka and tobacco fragrance, but this one has pine and vetiver with it, and it just has this just really beautiful earthy quality to it. And I think, you know, it sort of could be classified maybe almost as a fougere type of fragrance, but with the tonka and the tobacco, it sweetens it up a bit, so I would not classify that kind of as a typical fougere. The other one that Eve sent me that I really want to get was a bit of a surprise because the name of the fragrance includes a note that I typically don't care for too much. And the name of the fragrance is Neroli Blanc Intense, and it's from the house, and I'm gonna have to look at my notes here because this name is super long. So the house is Au Pays de la Fleur d'Oranger. I don't know. Something like that, but you know, make it sound nicer in your head than what I just said. But it's got a super long name, and it was beautiful, and like I said, I was really surprised that I loved it as much as I did because I really often have a hard time with neroli fragrances, but this one, beautiful. So that one is on my list as well. In addition to the neroli, there was like some fruitiness of vanilla to it, so maybe it's like with that combination, it ended up being something that really worked out for me, but I adore that one as well. So definitely gonna get both of those that Eve sent me. The other one she sent me I really liked too, but those were my two favorites out of everything she sent me, so I'm really appreciative of those samples, and I found two loves, so that's fantastic. The next one I'm really interested in buying is from Gallagher Fragrances, which is an indie house out of Ohio, and it's called Wicked Good, and it is indeed wicked good. It's got like a chocolate note in it, but the main things I get from it are vanilla and tonka bean and the dry down, but I love vanilla, and I believe he uses like a real, I'm not sure if it's Madagascar, I think it might be Madagascar vanilla, I don't remember off the top of my head, but he uses like a real, like true vanilla in it, and so it's like a beautiful, delicious, true gourmand. Like it's made with things, well, not everything, but at least the vanilla is a vanilla that you could eat. It's not synthetic whatsoever. So it is very pricey because it's, you know, using some very expensive ingredients, but I do definitely want to pick that up. I have seen him run like a 10% off discount occasionally, so I'm gonna wait for that to happen again, fingers crossed. But I really want that one. I have Rosé All Day already, adore it, but my second favorite, well, yeah, I think it's my second favorite, was Wicked Goods, and that's what I'm going to be picking up next from Gallagher Fragrances. The next one on my wish list is one that I sampled recently, like 2 days ago, I think, and then I wore it as my scent of the day yesterday, and after wearing it all day long, I am convinced I need this. It's so amazing. And it's from the house of Frasai, which I'm really excited about because I really want to support this particular house. It's female owned, so Ducita is as well. There are some others too, but I, you know, really wanted to pick up something from Frasai, and I was looking for the one that was me, and as soon as I sprayed this one on, I was like, this one is the one for me. And it is called Tissendu, maybe, or yeah, I think that's how you would say it, Tissendu. to. But this fragrance has sugar, bitter orange. I believe there's like some juniper in it, some rum, some leather. It's just this really great combination, very unique. And it lasted really, really well on my skin, which is something that when you get to the higher price points, I really like to see. Occasionally there are fragrances that are fairly expensive that are so beautiful in their composition and the way they smell that I'll forgive the longevity if it's not the best in the world. But ideally, when you're paying that much, you also want the performance to be just as good as the blend and the ingredients that go into it. And in this case, it is. So Tissandu, yeah, it lasted on me all day long, and I just fell in love with it instantly. It smelled so good to me all day long. And as I walked around and I smelled myself, I was like, dang, Tara, you smell good. Okay, I have two more that I want to share with you guys that are on my wish list. And the first one up is one that I got a sample of from my friend Janae. She has the channel Janae Antoinette. I'll make sure to link everybody's channels that I mentioned down below. But she sent me Wilhelm Parfumerie Mango Skin, which is fantastic, first of all. But it's also kind of popular right now because Delicious Delights talked about how, you know, she really loved it. And I've seen it pop up on some other channels as well. But as soon as I smelled it, I was like, oh yes, I understand why people love this one. So in addition to the mango, there's also black currant, which you know that I love, and there's this like wine note, like a red wine note in there, which makes it a little bit more interesting than just a straight up like fruity mango type of scent. But yeah, I really enjoy this one, and like I said, I see why a lot of people are saying that they really love it because it is just this really great, delicious mango-y scent. So again, it's called Mango Skin, pretty easy to remember, and it's from Wilhelm Parfumerie. The last one on my list is from a house that I just recently purchased my first bottle from, and that is MDCI. And although I haven't received the bottle that I purchased yet, that will be here soon, and I cannot wait to have it. Their bottles are beautiful, by the way. You can get them with like this bust on there that is, you know, a work of art itself. I did not get that just because the bust is like an additional $150 as opposed to just buying the bottle itself. And I was like, well, I can buy, you know, something else with that $150, even though I think the bust is gorgeous. Maybe one day I will get one with the bust, but for now I did not. However, I still think the bottles by themselves without that are truly gorgeous. They're pretty like simplistic and classy, and they have these little tassels on them. They're just beautiful. Anyway, the one that's on my wish list is called either Ciao Ciao San or Coco San. I don't know. It's not spelled chow like in Italian, but it's C-I-O-C-I-O. I don't know how you say that. But anyway, C-I-O-C-I-O San, S-A-N, is the name of this fragrance. And I almost bought it this time, but there were two from the samples that I have from MDCI, which I have not tried anywhere close to all of them. I almost bought this one instead of the bottle that I did purchase from MDCI, but I decided to go with that one, which is called Les Indes Galantes, because that one is more of a fall winter fragrance, and this one here that I'm talking about now, I would say is more of a spring and summer fragrance, and we're pretty much on the tail end of summer right now, so I figured if I did buy it now, I probably wouldn't wear it a whole lot until next year, so I would just hold off. So this is probably something I'll pick up maybe in the spring next year, but it was this beautiful lychee and cherry blossom scent with maybe like a little bit of peony or pink rose, something like that in there. There are others I definitely want to try from MDCI, including the Chypre Palatin, I think is the one that gets a lot of really great reviews. But of the ones that I have tried thus far, the Les Indes Galantes that I purchased and this Coco Ciao Ciao San, I don't know what the word is. Those two are the ones that I liked the most. Last up before we go, I just want to share with you 5 fragrances that I do really want to try, but I might just end up blind buying bottles of because I found it difficult to track down samples of these. It's not impossible, I'm sure, but in some cases it costs so much to get the samples to me that I'm like, do I really want to pay that, or would I rather just put that money towards the bottle and hope for the best? So I don't know, blind buying is not the best idea in the world, and I really have gotten better about sampling things, as you can see, but sometimes it's just difficult to get samples. So the first one that I wanted to mention is from an Australian indie house, and I believe is it Tioni Reinfeld or something like that? It's TRNP is the abbreviation for this house, and if you search that, you'll find it. But they have a fragrance called Embers that Claire from Smurfy Girly has been raving about. She said that she thinks it's her favorite fragrance that she's ever smelled in her whole life, which is, you know, really saying something. So I definitely want to try that. She said that it does have, you know, a strong vanilla component to it, and I love vanilla. Also, most of the things that she likes and recommends that I've purchased, I also really like. So I feel like it's probably pretty likely that I would enjoy this. However, it's not cheap. I think the bottles are only 30 mils and this one is around $200, so not cheap at all. But to get like a sample set to try it with shipping, it's going to be, I think it'd be close to $100 to get that shipped to me with the samples plus the shipping. And so then I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe I just go for the one bottle. But anyway, I definitely want to try it or just go ahead and buy a bottle. So that's the first one, is TRNP Embers. The next one is the most expensive on this list, and it's from Raja Perfumes, and it is called Sweetie Oud. And this is a gourmand fragrance that, you know, it says oud, but I've heard that you don't really pick up a lot of the oud note that's in it. I obviously can't really describe it to you because I've never smelled it, but based on what I've heard from other people, it sounds really good. And I am going to try a little bit more to find a decant of it because I really would like to try it before I buy it. But again, the decants are going to be so expensive that sometimes it's just hard for me to justify that versus just buying the bottle. And also I feel like that bottle, because a lot of people want this fragrance, I could probably resell if I didn't love it. But yeah, this is crazy expensive, and so that's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think. But I will be looking into it. I know that if I buy it from the UK, like from Selfridges or Harrods, it's probably going to be cheaper. However, sometimes they don't ship certain brands to the US. I don't know why, but I do think it's cheaper if I order it from there. So that's an option, but it's still going to be super expensive. Another indie house that I'm really interested in trying is SP Parfums, and specifically I want to try Powder and Dust. But again, their shipping costs make buying samples a little bit pricey compared to just buying a bottle. And I noticed that, I don't know if this is all the time, but when I went on his website recently, his name is Sven, by the way, he had some deal going on. And like I said, I'm not sure if this is all the time or not, but you would buy the bottle and then you get a travel spray, and I think it was like 3 samples for free. And that seems like a better deal than just trying to buy some samples. So I think I will do that. They're not like the most expensive, although the bottles are kind of small. Again, I think they might be 30 ml. But significantly less expensive than the other ones I've talked about so far. So I do think I will be picking that up in the relatively near future, but I'm not exactly sure when. The next one up is one from Penhaligon's Portraits collection, which I already have Changing Constants, but I want to get Bewitching Yasmin. And most recently I heard about this one on Spicy Looks channel, and I'll link her down below, but also from Abby with Love has, I believe this is the one that she's talked about as well. She's the one that sold me on Changing Constants, but I think she also likes Bewitching Yasmin. And both of them have really similar tastes to me, so I feel like if they both like it, then it's a pretty good chance that I will like that one as well. So Bewitching Yasmin is on my list. That's the 4th one. And then the last one that I want to buy, and I might, probably getting a sample of this isn't that hard, but at the same time, I see good prices on this particular one, so I might just blind buy it. And that is Parfums de Marly Harrod, which I think is marketed more as a men's fragrance, but from what I've heard, a confident woman or a woman who enjoys tobacco scents, like me, could wear it. So I think probably I'll go for that. I've heard it's like a sweet tobacco. I love sweet tobacco fragrances. And it seems to be really highly reviewed and rated on like Fragrantica and places like that. So yeah, I think I probably will end up buying that. I might buy that fairly soon because I have found like a seller that I really trust online, that they currently have a bottle available for a good price. So I think I might buy that from him, but we'll see. Anyway, so those are the 5 that I haven't tried, but I still think I kind of want to get. I would really like to sample at least most of these ahead of time, but in some cases I don't think that's going to happen, or I just would rather take the risk. So that's my fragrance wish list at the moment. But now I want to hear from you guys. Which fragrances are you wanting to purchase? Maybe you've tried them and you've fallen in love, or maybe you just kind of feel like blind buying them. Like I said, I've been trying to get better about buying samples or decants from people ahead of time. And so that's actually worked out really well because, you know, there are more fragrances that I don't want full bottles of than I do. I hope you guys liked this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also, definitely please do leave me your comments down below because I truly want to hear which fragrances you guys are wanting to purchase. I hope you guys have a great start to your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.